Hi, all you SPMEs out there. Today's question has 3 answers, and you're going to want to stick around because the third answer is going to tell you how you can get around this whole issue of whether you can write well or not. So let's get into it. The question that was sent in, or maybe the problem, it is not good enough at writing. And this is a common issue that many people have when they're getting started, because you want to publish a book. You'd like to get something out of the market for a number of reasons. Maybe you have some ideas of what you would like to write about, or maybe you'd like to just see if you can get some sort of passive income going. And that's another major motivation that gets a lot of people into self-publishing. But you're not a very good writer, or at least you think you're not a very good writer. Well, how good of a writer do you need to be? But the problem is, because you have this feeling, this limiting belief, what it's doing to you is it's slowing you down from making the progress you need to. Maybe you've written your book, but now you're not sure you want to put it on the market. Or maybe you haven't even started and you're thinking, this is too big of a task. I'm not going to be able to accomplish this, since you're not a very good writer. And you see how you can get stuck here without ever publishing anything because of this simple belief. Well, this is what we're going to answer today. This is Chris Baird from selfpublishingmadeeasynow.com. Click the subscribe button if you would like for me to make more videos like that, because this helps me helps other people like you who also are interested in self-publishing find my videos and get started right away and doing it the easy way. Because here, self-publishing doesn't have to be so difficult. And check out below in the description and you will find my absolutely free self-publishing checklist to make sure that you are not skipping any of the important steps necessary to win at the self-publishing game. So let's get into it. Let me tell a little bit about my own story. When I first got started, I was thinking also that writing a book would be very difficult, because where do you start, and how do you have an outline? What do you there's all sorts of questions that need to be done. That's just on the writing part. And then later you'd have, of course, the publishing part of the contents and the formatting and the cover and description and ads and all of these sorts of things, and audiobooks, and it gets very heavy. But if we find that the writing part is difficult, that can stop us right from the beginning before we even get to the formatting and the next step. And so for a lot of people, this is exactly the feeling you had. And I had that feeling myself when I was first getting started. But then I came across a strategy, which was, don't focus so much on the quality, but just pump out 1,000 words a day. I wrote out a basic outline and then would just write 1,000 words a day until I had completed my very first book on some ideas I wanted to get into the world. And the thing is, what do I do then? Well, I took the book and I ran it through a couple of editors that I'd found on Fiverr that were highly rated editors. I used the Word grammar check. I used the program Grammarly. These are free, right? I used LibreWriter's grammar check. And finally, I listened to the entire book in an app called VoiceStream, which is a fantastic one for just taking a text file like your book, throwing it in there, and just listening to the whole thing be read. And this is an excellent way to find mistakes that maybe these other things haven't found. The end result, though, of all of this was I published the book, and there weren't that many mistakes inside the book in terms of grammar and the flow of the book. Because the fact is when you're using a little bit of time and running it through these different tools, it finds a lot of the common mistakes that you may have made. I tested out a bunch of other programs that did not work out so well for me, and I ended up not using them because they were pointing out a bunch of mistakes that were not particularly relevant. And then what happened was I repeated and improved this for each book, improving the quality. And later, I began to understand that I enjoyed the publishing part and making money off of the books, but I didn't have the time necessarily to publish on the right keywords and to get those books out. And so I found a number of publishing agencies, and there's a whole series of them. Epic Write was one that I had used at the past, and you have Writers Summit and a whole series of other publishing companies where people will write the book. You make sure it's not copyright and that it's, I use a couple of programs just to check to make sure that the text is original. And then we're able to format and run it through the same processes and upload the book to Amazon. And many of my best sellers have been books that I did not personally write, though my book on sleep is by far my most popular book that I have written, and it's a very useful book that people still today get quite a bit of value out of. Every day I'm selling copies of it. But these other books, many of them have outsold my own books. Things from cookbooks to how-tos to all sorts of nonfiction books that are targeting keywords that are very profitable, but maybe not something that I myself have the time to do. And I enjoy just putting more books onto the market. And that's how I have over 190 books on the market as I record this video today. And that feeling is fantastic, seeing those books, because the beauty is you don't know which books are going to sell. And so it's different books every day that are going to be selling. It's not like every book is selling tons of copies every day. That just is, if somebody's told you that, they're lying to you. So, but when you have a lot of books on the market, you're seeing these sales happening across the different platforms and the different markets. And so that's something also to keep in mind. But the thing is that I had that barrier of feeling maybe I'm not very good at writing, but through the practice with this, we were able to overcome that particular one. There may be new barriers like shortage of time and a number of other things, but but in terms of this particular barrier, it hasn't been so much of an issue. So, not good enough at writing? Well, you get better with practice, like I was commenting. Plus, reading books will help you improve. And if you read Stephen King's On Writing, and there's a lot of other books that are fantastic that will help make you a better writer, these are tricks that will improve your writing, but you just need to start practicing. And the second is you can hire an editor so you can make you the best writer you can be. And Fiverr's a perfect place. Just choose somebody who has thousands of positive reviews, and you will probably be just fine when you send your work to them so that they're able to go through it and find a lot of the other types of mistakes that you're making. And over time, you will become a better writer. And so that's something else that you're definitely going to want to do. But let's get into the secret answer of today, which is the third answer. If you're terrible at writing, well, like I mentioned, you can hire a ghostwriting agency if you want to get a book on the market without writing it yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. I would not suggest putting it under your own name, since I think it's very important that when you write something and it's in your name that you actually wrote the book. But in terms of hiring it out to somebody else, you can come up with a name, and there's nothing unethical. Many of the best writers in the world have used pen names when doing it, and ghostwriting is a completely acceptable way. I just wouldn't suggest that you put it under your own name, so choose a different name that sort of matches that genre that you're writing for, and keep each genre separate, so a different author. So even if you were writing books in a different genre, it might be wise actually to use a different name, pen name for yourself for those different genres, because otherwise it undermines your authority in each of those areas. So that's another thing you're going to want to keep in mind. So do you struggle at writing a book? If you do, write yes below, and if you don't, write no below. I would be very interested to hear, and that will help me make better videos in the future. And check up above me here for more video answers to your self-publishing questions. Thanks.